Hi everybody, it's Carol with Refunction Crafts. I'm here today with another tutorial, and this one's going to be on this enormous Altoids tin that I found at a thrift store. It's a huge Altoids tin, and I'm going to be altering this and turning it into a little jewelry box. So, and you can see it's definitely an Altoids tin. And in comparison to a regular size, let's see, well, here's another small tin. This is not quite as big as a regular Altoids tin, but there's a regular size tin that I did the other day. This is really big and it's really cool, and I had never seen an Altoids tin this big, so I thought I had to buy it and alter it somehow. Ergo Refunction Crafts. I like to refunction things like this. And I like this one in particular, and really the Altoids type tins and stuff, because they have the hinged lids. I don't care for the ones that just pop off, you know, like this little tin here. I do alter some tins that are like this, but I prefer a tin with a hinge on it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started on this project. And hopefully this video will not be too mind-numbingly long. I'm going to try and do my best to keep it as short as possible. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be adding some of this lace. I have already painted this, as you can see. I've painted it white. What I did initially actually is I have some silver spray paint. So I roughed it up and then I sprayed it with the silver paint, and then I painted it over with white chalk paint. So that's what's on the outside of this, is a white chalk paint, and this is what I used for the white. So this is Art Minds Chalk Cray, and the color is porcelain. So that's what I used to paint this with. I like this chalk paint. One of the things in particular I like about it is that it dries really, really fast once you paint it on. So first I want to check and see exactly where the placement of these pieces of lace is going to go, because one's going to overlap the other, sort of like that. And so I'm trying to place these pieces in the right spots as I go. And then I want a slight overlap on the edge. Actually, you know, I think I am going to actually cut off this little edge piece, because I think I just want it to go right up and butt up to the edge. Some of this, if there's a little extra, I can actually cut off at the end, but I think I just don't want that overhang on the sides. It will overhang on the front because I'm going to be leaving some of this scalloped part hanging over. The way that I'm doing it is I'm taking this lace to this part up here along the edge, and then these pieces will sort of hang over, and then I'll glue them down. So that's the way we're going to be doing this piece. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my E6000, and I'm going to use my hot glue. And I don't know that I've mentioned it too many times to you guys, but when I use hot glue, I don't just use regular hot glue. I use Gorilla hot glue because I think it holds better. And so that is what I use when I say I'm using hot glue, just so that you guys know. I use E6000 on just about every project I do, especially if I am gluing on rhinestone embellishments and things like that, because I want them to stay. And E6000 is what I have found to be the best adhesive for being assured that pieces are going to stay. Okay, I just had to clear my tube a little bit there. So I'm going to take a little bit of E6000 and go along this lace because I really want this lace to stick to this tin well. And while hot glue will work well to glue the lace, it will not work so well on the tin as far as keeping it down. So we need to use a little bit of both. And that's what I'm doing, just a tiny bead of hot glue to go along that strip along with the E6000. Sorry you guys, that was my dog sneezing. I don't know what's going on with this E6000, but it was working fine just a little bit ago. It feels like it might be trying to start to get a little dried up. But it shouldn't be because it's a fairly new tube. There we go. Now it's coming out okay. Okay, I've got my E6000. Now I'm going to put a little bead of hot glue along there to make sure that we get this stuck down, and I want to look at this head on so that I glue it properly across the tin. And then I'm going to take these little edges here where it's hanging over and I'm going to snip those off. I love these snippers. These are the best scissors for doing fine cutting like this. I try to use them only on fabric. But every once in a while I take them and grab them to cut something else just because they're so convenient, because they don't cut the same way as the regular scissors do. They're easier to get into some spots. But not so good when you're cutting a straight line and a long piece of fabric or paper or whatever. They seem to not work well for that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm just going to put a little dot under each one of these little scallops here of the E6000. And then make sure also when you're doing a tin, make sure you remember which side's the front and which side's the back. I can't tell you how many times I have decorated a piece and had it turn out. Chloe, no. Sorry guys. Once again, my dogs are barking. Go lay down. Go lay down. Okay, I think I fixed it. Okay, probably the mailman or the Amazon guy, because I am waiting for a package today. In fact, that's probably what just happened. Too early for the mailman, I think. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these little edges of the scallops down, but I want to make sure that I put my glue closer to the inner part of these scallops because they are still going to hang over the lid somewhat, which is fine. I'm totally okay with that. But I don't want to glue it down and then have it end up sticking to the opening. That would be bad because then we wouldn't be able to open the tin. Okay, so these little tiny ones, I'm just going to fold those over a little bit. And we're just going to go along this whole edge here. Fold these little guys over. Now most of you probably have hotter glue guns than I'm using today. I'm using a low temp glue gun, and that's why I'm just using my fingers to fold these over. This is not burning my fingers at all whatsoever. But if you're using a higher temp glue gun, you absolutely want to make sure that you're either using a finger protector or you're using a spatula or a popsicle stick or something to fold these pieces over with. Because you definitely have to press them down to make sure they're sticking the way that you want them to. I'm about to run out of glue. So I'm going to have to put a new glue stick in here pretty quick. Possibly before I even get through the last little bit of this. Maybe not. Nope, I made it. But let's grab a glue stick now and have it ready. Okay. A little bit more to trim off of this edge. And then I'm also going to take and just add a little bit of hot glue to this edge here to tap that lace down so that it's not all over the place. So I'm going to lift it on this side as well. And I'm just going to tap that down. Okay, so that's the first piece. Now we're going to add the second piece. And this piece will be even easier because I'm just going to take and put the E6000 around the edge of the tin. And then I'll add a few dots of hot glue around there as well, just to kind of ensure that it's going to stick down. And then I'm just going to lay this across the top. And then I'll cut these edges off, and then I'll fold this little bit of lace over the edge there. So that worked out awesome. So now I'm just going to go along the tin and cut that excess off of the side. And go along the other side and do the same. Okay, and actually I think I'm going to trim off these little scallops at the top, and the reason that I'm going to do that is because I am going to be putting a rhinestone chain around the edge of this, and if I have that there, the rhinestone chain is not going to sit well on the side because it's going to be competing with the lace to be on there straight. And I don't want the two competing. I want them to be harmonious. So okay, got that done. And we're making sure it's all pressed down. And then I'm going to take these little bits here and I'm just going to put a little dot sort of every other one to make sure those stay down well. Okay, just a little teeny dot of hot glue. Okay, so that's what we have so far. The whole top is covered in lace. Yeah, I'm looking for glue strings. We're all right there, I think. Okay, and then the next thing that I'm going to be adding to this is I'm going to be adding a piece of trim around this bottom edge here. So what I want to do is I'm going to take, again, my E6000, because when you're gluing something along the edge of a piece, you're going to be touching this a lot. And so you want to make sure that whatever adhesive you're using is going to stick and stick well and stick permanently. And so while hot glue is great and it feels good at the time, over time that hot glue is going to give way and it's not going to stay stuck to your item, and then you're going to have a sloppy looking little piece, and none of us wants that. And for me, of course, I sell all of my pieces in my Etsy shop, so I need to make sure that the work that I'm doing is quality work, because the last thing I want is for someone to get in touch with me and say, hey, you know, a piece of this fell off, or this didn't fit right, or, you know, you didn't secure it properly, or what have you. And then I feel bad because I feel like I haven't put out a quality piece. That's not to say that it can't happen occasionally, even when you're using the best quality supplies, because things just happen. But I have been very fortunate not to have any problems. I think I had one time something that someone actually wanted changed on a piece that they ordered, and I did it for them because it was the right thing to do. Actually, oh, there was one. I had bought some bales, jewelry bales, glue-on bales, to do some projects with. And I've always used, you know, the metallic bales. Well, I had ordered these bales on one of the shopping websites, and unfortunately it turned out, I thought they were metal, some kind of metal, and they turned out to be made of some kind of plastic or something. And I had a customer that I had sent a keychain to, and I had used one of those bales on it, and the bale just snapped. It just cracked and broke, and it was no good. And it happened right away. It's almost as soon as she got it. And so, you know, in a case like that, I just told her, keep what you have there. I'll make you a new one and I'll send it to you. It's not worth it for me to have, especially if it's a small item, to have them send it back to me. I took her word for it, and after I had tested those bales, I realized that they were all like that and they were no good, and I could no longer support using them in my pieces. So what I ended up having to do is I took every single thing I made, which was a lot of items, that I had put those bales on, and I took those bales off and either redid them or scrapped the item, because in some cases taking the bale off ruined the item. So I wasn't able to keep them or work with them to fix it. So I had to just scrap them and take them out of my store. So if you are a person who is running an Etsy shop or making projects and selling them, keep that in mind. Make sure that you're buying quality products. It's great to save some money, you know, where you can. because we all want to kind of make a profit on what we're making. But if we're not using quality products and things keep coming back to us, thankfully I only had one item come back, and then I was able to learn that lesson early on. Yeah, it wasn't fun. It wasn't a fun lesson to learn. So be careful of that. Watch what you're doing, and try to be mindful of what that might cost you if you make that mistake like I did. I'm debating on whether I want to use rhinestone. I think I'm going to have to use rhinestone because it's just so pretty. It really looks good with this lace. And what I may do is put a row of pearls beneath that, or maybe around the top piece. We'll see. But for right now, I am going to figure out how much of this rhinestone chain I will need. And the rhinestone chain that I'm going to be using for this is actually, it's this one. It's a 4mm rhinestone, and this is an iridescent rhinestone. So that's what I'm going to be using on this today. I prefer, just so that you all know, in most of my projects I will use 4mm rhinestone chain. I don't generally use anything smaller than that. I do have some smaller chain, and I will use it occasionally on smaller items, especially if I've run out of my 4mm. But for me, I want those rhinestones to show, and I want them to shine. And if you use ones that are just too small, they're actually harder to work with, and they just don't seem to have the same, they don't give the same benefit. Sorry, taking a drink of my coffee. So I prefer the 4mm. Okay, this is going to be tricky because I'm going to have to put that rhinestone chain. Let me show you what this looks like so far with that rose trim. Isn't that pretty? I mean, it already looks really pretty. But wait till we get this thing done. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so now I'm going to take my E6000. I'm going to go along the edge here, and I am going to glue on my rhinestone chain and hope that it looks okay going over the top of this lace. This is why I don't like to have a bunch of lace hanging over. Now in the back on the sides, it'll be fine because there's nothing glued down to those parts, but I didn't want to cut off all those beautiful scallops on the front. They're just too pretty. I felt like I'd be ruining the lace if I did that. So we're going to do it this way and hope that everything sticks down and looks good. So we'll start along the back side here. Okay, make sure your rhinestones are pointing up towards the sky. Don't let them point to the side because you're wasting money when you do that. You're wasting the look that you really want to get from these rhinestones if you're putting them so that they point outward instead of upward, because people are going to be looking at this piece from the top, not from the sides necessarily. So you want to make sure that the top really really pops. So this is why I always turn my rhinestone up. You got to make sure though that when you're measuring your rhinestones for the piece, if you cut it off before you put it on, this is where if you're a beginner, you're almost better to just leave the rhinestone on the spool and do it from there and cut it once you get around and you've got all of your rhinestones placed, because what'll happen is as you're going around this tin, these rhinestones are going to turn sometimes and they'll be showing on the side instead of the top. And then if they're turned sideways, it doesn't require as much chain. So once you turn them back up, you're going to find you'll have a gap where you wanted those to come together if you've already cut it. If when you measured it prior to putting it on, you had any of those rhinestones turned, you're going to have to cut more rhinestones off to finish the job. I didn't get any E6000 right there. So you want to be really careful with that. Make sure that either when you're measuring, you've got all of those rhinestones turned upwards, or that you just cut it after you've put the rhinestone on. Either way is okay. Either way will work. It seems it's a little harder to work with the rhinestone if you leave it on the spool, but at the same time, if you want to keep that chain in one piece and not have to add a couple of little pieces later on, you're better off to just leave it on that spool as you're putting it around the tin. And see, now I'm just kind of adjusting everything. I'm turning everything up. I know I've got enough chain, but I do still have some that were pointing kind of downwards. So I'm trying to make sure they're all pointing up and they're all uniform. And then I go along the sides and check to see how straight a line they're in, because we want them to be aligned as well, not all squiggly from the side view. And that's not an easy thing to accomplish sometimes either. It's not going to be perfect, but you want it as perfect as it can be. So make sure that you take the extra time. I'm sorry guys, I know I got off camera. Take the extra time to make sure that you are lining these up so that at least your line going this way is as straight as it can be. It's not going to be perfect, like I said, but try to get it as nice as you can. Okay, so there, I've got that all set. There's the rhinestone chain around the edge. And now, oh, I need to close up my E6000 here again before it dries out, and then wipe up the spill. Otherwise, I'm going to end up with E6000 all over, whoopsie, all over the bottom of my jewelry box, and I don't want that. Now I messed with my stones. Okay. So hopefully you guys can see this and you can see how pretty it's turning out. The next thing I'm going to do is I do think I'm going to put a layer of these little round, these are clear, sort of pearlescent pearls that I'm going to put, I think, do I want them there or do I want them on top? I think I'm going to put them around the top. So what I'm going to do, again, with the E6000, I'm going to go around the entire edge. Being careful not to get it on the rhinestones. Make sure you're not going over the top of the rhinestones with this E6000, because you don't want to lose your shimmer on those rhinestones. They're too pretty for that. Okay, I went around the whole outside of that. And then I'm also going to add a couple of dabs of hot glue kind of as I go with this. We'll start over here in the corner and lay that down on top of the lace. And then we'll add some more hot glue in a couple of places. And lay this down on top. And keep on going around the entire edge. Until you get to the end. And pop that around. Go around the corner there. Okay. It's such a nice day outside. I kind of hate to be in the house doing this. It's not super sunny today. It's a little kind of cloudy and it goes from sunny to gloomy, but it's still, the weather is really nice. And I would so love to be out doing something, maybe in the light of day. But I did have a really great weekend, you guys. My my BFF came out this weekend, and she gave my husband and I, Saturday she came in the morning, and she and I were able to go out and do a little bit of shopping while my husband was my mom sitter. I know most of you know that my mom has Alzheimer's, and she's 94 years old. So my husband watched my mom while me and my friend went out and hit some of the stores and things that I like to shop in. And so it was really, really nice. We went to my little local store where I buy all of my little blingy pieces and stuff. Oh goodness, did I have fun. Okay, it seems that I may have lost part of my video, and probably one of the most important parts of my video, and I apologize for that because I could not recover it on my camera. But just so that you all know, the part where I added these beautiful little pink paper flowers around the edges here, I added them here and back in this corner, and I added these gorgeous paper roses that I got at Michael's, and these beautiful lace flowers that I put down the middle, and then this rhinestone piece that I added here. I don't know what happened. My camera just quit recording, and then it showed the piece that that I can't get to, but it won't let me open it up. It's like it's corrupted, or it's something happened to it. I don't know what happened to it. It just won't open. So anyways, if I do end up getting it open, and I'm still telling you that I ruined the video by doing that, hopefully I'll figure out a way to get it opened up. The document is, or the video is still there. It's just not letting me open it in the video program that I have on my computer. So I don't know what happened. Anyway, okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to finish this regardless because I want you guys to see it completed, and I still have a couple of things that I want to do. So I'm going to add this beautiful applique butterfly. Whoops. And this is a lace applique that I purchased on Amazon. And then these little embroidered flowers are the ones that I've been using that came off of an old shower curtain that I had. And this is going to go right here towards the front of the piece, and I'm just going to use hot glue on this because it's just lace on lace. So let me lay that down kind of towards the front here between those two flowers. And then I have these two little tiny rhinestones that I'm going to glue up on the antennas here. And we're going to use our E6000 on these. Just a little dot will do. And we're going to put those on the tips of these antennae. And on that one. Okay. And then we also have this beautiful rhinestone butterfly brooch, and actually I'm going to take the brooch part off of this. I know to some of you this may be sacrilege, but I want to use it on this, and I don't want it to sit up too high, so I am removing the attachment there. And that butterfly is going to go right about, well, do I want to put it there, or do I want to have it sort of sitting up? I think we're going to put it over off to the side here where it's kind of sitting up, and we'll put some E6000 there and a little bit towards the top where it's going to rest on those roses, and wherever it may touch we want to make sure there's glue there. And then we're going to put a dab of hot glue in those corners and then up there. Okay, and that's just going to kind of rest on those roses and the little white flowers of the lace. The lace that I used to go across the middle of this is this lace that I got on Amazon. I purchased, it comes in a 5-yard roll, or it just comes in a baggie, actually, a bag rolled up as 5 yards, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I love this lace. I will put a the link down in the description menu for that lace, and also for these applique butterflies. I also purchased these on Amazon, and they come also in a bag. Let me get it out. In a bag like this, and it's 5 yards, and these are the butterflies. They're all attached, and they're really, really pretty. They have this little pearl and applique piece at the top as well. These are super pretty butterflies. I really, really love them. I would recommend purchasing them. And then also I got this rose trim on Amazon. So yeah, I got a lot of stuff on Amazon that I've really enjoyed working with. So this piece is particularly fun. And then these are some sort of iridescent Aurora, do they call it Aurora Borealis rhinestones that I purchased also on Amazon. And I want to put a few of these around. And I'm using, based on the recommendation of one of my subscribers, which I should have done this a long time ago. I had one of these a while back and I lost it. And I've just been using my needle nose pliers and other tools. But this is a jewelry picker, and it's got this little, it's got two tips on it. One's a larger tip over here, and one's a smaller tip over here for picking up rhinestones and laying them on our projects. And these are amazing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a couple of places, I'm going to add some of these pretty rhinestones to add some sparkle around this this piece. So I'm going to add one there, and see how that just drops down nicely with this. One there, one there. Oops. Well, let go. That one really stuck good. And one there. I think what I did, I know what I did. I put the glue a little further out on these bottom parts of the butterfly. Okay, so we've got those there where we've added some sparkle. And then I'm just going to add a few around in different little places that I think that they would look really pretty. And add just a little touch of sparkle. For right now, we'll leave it at those spots. Got one there. One there. 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 Uh-oh. I put one there. And one there. And let's get some more kind of around the outside edges of this thing. One there. One there. One there. Let's add those in. I don't recall where I put the glue. Okay, so we've got those around the edges, and I got really quiet there for a minute. I'm sorry, you guys. I got so into my project, I forgot to talk. Okay, I got some of those sort of spread around the front of this piece. I don't know if you can see them there, but yeah, they are shiny and they are very pretty on this piece. And let's see, is there anything else that we need to add? I'm wondering, I have these little birds and I really, really like them. And I'm thinking one of them might be pretty somewhere on this piece. I'm just not sure if it's adding too much, if I'm adding something that I don't need, and I think that's kind of what I'm doing with that. I'm adding something just for the sake of adding it, and I don't want to do that. So anyway, okay, this is the finished box. There's the side and the top. It came out really, really pretty. I'm so pleased with this, and I'm so sorry, everybody, that part of this video did not take with the adding of these flowers and things. I will be doing some other pieces that I'll add some of those into, and I'll do the process as far as how I laid those on there, but they're pretty self-explanatory. I did use E6000 and hot glue on these big flowers. I just used hot glue on the smaller ones because I'm not too worried about those coming off. And then with this piece, it was hot glue and E6000 because you don't want to put anything with a hard surface. If you just use hot glue, it's not going to stick. It'll stick temporarily, but it won't stay. And then the rest, and then this lace here that I added, I just laid it down, and I did use E6000 and hot glue to lay that across this middle strip. And I think this came out gorgeous. I really, really love it. And hopefully you guys will have a box that you can try this on. It doesn't have to be a tin. It could be a wooden box. It could be anything that you just have laying around. Shop at a thrift store, find an old box that they're selling for, you know, a couple of dollars, and paint it and refurbish it. Repurpose those things. It's so worth it. It's so much fun to turn something that was once not very pretty and make it something beautiful. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Don't forget that my giveaway is going to be happening probably, I'm going to say this Friday. And I want you all to make sure that you get in on that giveaway, but you have to go over to my video, and it's labeled, I think it's talking about a tin that actually it does. It's a tutorial that I did on a tin box that is the giveaway that I'm going to be offering on Friday when I do my random drawing. It's going to be a drawing based on comments on that particular video, not this video, but the video. You have to go over and you have to find that video, and you have to become a subscriber, and you have to make a comment on that video in order to be a part of the random drawing. So, and then after I do the drawing, I will announce who the winner is, and that person will have to get in touch with me. Let me know what their address is so that I can mail that item out to them. If I don't hear back from them within a week, then I will redraw and pick a new winner. So they will have 7 days to respond to me with their address so that I can send that item out. So anyways, thanks for watching, you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and we'll be seeing you soon with a new tutorial. Take care. Bye-bye.